Welcome to Butch's Building Blocks. Let's make something beautiful and spectacular today. Let's start with a piece of Padook. Add some maple to it. Chunk of black walnut and mystery wood. Seriously, I have no idea what this is. It was in my dad's workshop and he gave it to me. Our project for this time is going to be a round sunburst. Can either be used for kitchen art, cutting board, decoration, whatever. We're going to start with maple, Padook, black walnut, and our mystery wood. Stock's going to be 7/8 of an inch thick. Finished size of our project is going to be 12 inches in diameter, give or take a little bit, about a 1/16. Our objective first is to cut 2 different wedges. This wedge is at a 7.5-degree angle on both sides. This wedge is at a 15-degree angle on both sides. Our total height is 4.5 inches for both of them. Our base measurement, 1.645 and 3.350. These dimensions are important. In order to get our circle to be the right diameter, these cuts need to be made very precisely on your table saw. We're going to need a center circle, 4 inches of diameter, made out of our mystery wood. We're going to need 12 7.5-degree wedges. Both sides are going to equal 15 degrees total. 6 15-degree wedges. Both sides will equal 30 degrees. When we pair these up, 2 of these to 1 of these guys, 30 and 30, gives us our circle that we need. 15-degree wedges, 2 of Padook, 2 of maple, 1 black walnut, 1 mystery wood. Our 7.5-degree wedges, 3 of Padook, 3 maple, 3 black walnut, 3 mystery, and our 4-inch diameter center is going to be made out of our mystery wood. I took the liberty of ripping my large stock down. I did use the Freud Industrial Thick Stop Rip, 5/32 inch teeth. Wow, what an incredible blade. This just tore right through my 2-inch stock without any trouble whatsoever. I don't get any paid promotion, but if you can get one of these, I highly recommend it. For the remaining cuts, I'm going to use the glue line rip so that I have a much cleaner edge when I go to put my wedges together to make the circle. I have ripped all of our stock down to 3.5 inches, which is slightly oversized. I'm now going to use my cross-cut table saw sled to cut them to 4.5 inches. And then I'm going to come back and recut these back down to the exact width that I need, depending on whether it's for a large wedge or a small wedge. For our center circle, you need to cut something larger, obviously, than the 4-inch diameter. This is a 5x5 block, which I've marked the center. This is my circle cutting jig for my bandsaw. I'm using a 1/4 inch band. Take your center post from your jig and then gently tap it into your workpiece. Return it back to your center hole. And now we're ready to cut. It's as easy as that. Well, now we have almost a perfect circle. I would highly recommend that you cut out a larger piece of pine, the same diameter. We will be using this later on in our project. I've taken the liberty of cutting these blocks to size, knowing that you've all seen wood being cut before. Here we have our blocks cut to 3.35 inches, and these blocks here are all cut to 1.645 inches. They're all being 4.5 inches tall. Our next section here is to actually put the angles on them. And for that, I need to get my angle cutting table sled ready. It's a good thing I had my stick to keep my hands out of the way. Even so, that kickback did a little bit of damage. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to go and put a Band-Aid on this one and clean it up. Nothing much, just a little bit of a scratch. Cut to 30 degrees. There are the angles cut to 15 degrees. Here are the wedges that we've cut. I just randomly put them together to see how they would make as a dry fit, and they look pretty darn good. I used a regular plumbing strap clamp. I connected 3 of them together in order to get a nice concentric pull. Next thing to do is to break these apart, put together a color pattern that I like, and then glue them up. After working these pieces around 3 or 4 times, trying a few different combinations, I think this one kind of gives me a little bit more of a Sunburst feel to it than anything else. So this is what I'm going to glue up, and we'll proceed from here. Our Sunburst circle is completely glued up. I'm going to run it through the planer and get it down. They did shift a little bit. I'm guessing probably a 32nd of an inch on quite a few of them. So we'll plane them level and then move on to our next step. I put our Sunburst ring through my planer. It's now even on both sides. I didn't have to take off much, maybe a 32nd on each side. Earlier in the video, I suggested that you make a pine blank the same diameter as your centerpiece. We're going to hot glue this onto the bottom here. Be sure and find what's approximate center. I have 2 5/8 on all sides, so I know it's centered. We're going to then take our router and route out this center portion so that our sun circle will fit in the middle. Using a 1-inch bottom bearing flush trim router bit, I'm going to route out the center of this. This will be the bearing guide to make sure that I have a nice uniform circle. Using our flush trim bottom bearing bit, I now have carved a circle which fits our center cutout perfectly. Now I will get my chisel and gently take this glue off and pop that bottom guide off. We've cut out our center circle as close as we could. We still have some gaps. I like to fill mine with epoxy. I'm going to be using this black metallic epoxy with the West 105 epoxy resin and the 206 slow hardener. So I'm going to mix up 10 mils of 105 with 2 mils of 206 and then pour it around this hole to seal it up and make it look nice. I sanded on 80 grit to get it cleaned. I went to 100 grit and then to 120 just to polish it up so I could see what it looks like. Now I'm going to put it back onto my bandsaw circle cutting jig and cut out the 12-inch diameter that we need. I sanded the edge down to get rid of any of the little bumps. Now it's time to put our 1/4-inch round over on both sides to finish this off. The Sunburst is finished. I've put a 1/4-inch radius on it. I've sanded it to 220 grit, and now it's time to put the cutting board oil on it. I'm using walrus oil, not getting any promotions from it. Let's see what happens when we pour a little oil on it. Hopefully all the colors will just pop right out for us. Wow, you can definitely see the Paduk come right out. Also enhances that black walnut so that it looks just a little darker and gives that section some definition. I'll let that oil soak in for an hour or so, and then I'll apply another coat. Here's the Sunburst. It has come out magnificent. I've made a lot of projects in my lifetime. This one has to take the cake. This is just beautiful. The colors are spectacular, and it shines and glows, and it's got a smooth finish, just like silk and satin. This is one of these projects where I don't think I'm ever going to use this. I believe this is going to become kitchen art. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, give me a thumbs up. If you like this project, I'll have more future projects that will be as cool as this. Go ahead, down there, click the subscribe button, and you'll get notification every time I put up a new video. Until then, if you want anything, go to butchesbuildingblocks.com, and I'll make you whatever you need.